Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We are back again with another into InfoSec, and this time we are covering offensive security. This is one area which people are very fascinated about. And at the same time, we also want to know about where to get started, what are the things to keep in mind, and where to start off. Like everyone is so much worried about that. And I have seen a lot of requests. So today we have a wonderful person, Phillip Wiley, who is a manager, tech evangelist, and an enablement person at Psychognitor, as well as he's passionate about offensive security with over 24 years of information technology and cybersecurity experience. He knows about penetration testing, security vulnerability assessments, application security, threat and vulnerability management. I would let him speak more about himself. Over to you, Philippe.
Hi, thanks for inviting me. It's an honor. It's been a long time since we saw each other virtually, but it's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you so much, Philippe. It's an honor to have you.
Yeah, thanks for that warm introduction. And for those that don't know me, along with working in offensive cybersecurity in that area, I was also a college professor, adjunct professor for 3 years and 8 months, and I still teach workshops and stuff outside of that. The summer of 2021 was my last semester at the college, and now I'm just teaching workshops and that sort of stuff outside the classroom. But I have a passion for mentoring people and teaching and helping people get started in security, and more specifically the offensive security side of things. Before I was an instructor, I actually used to share information with people that wanted to become OSCP certified. I would share blogs and different resources that were good to study, as well as helping people get started as pen testing. So this is kind of a passion of mine. So always happy to share information on the subject.
Very, very interesting. And I'm sure that a lot of people are going to learn from you today. And we will also discuss about a lot of resources so that they can go back and check them. So, Philippe, there's one question like everyone asks. When we talk about offensive security, what it is actually? It is very vague. Like everyone has their own perception about it. So what exactly is offensive security?
Sure. And one of the things I'd like to make sure to show the difference is a lot of times people refer to offensive security as red teaming. That's kind of a generalization that they use for offensive security, but it's kind of a misconception because red teaming is more adversary emulation, and some people think pen testing is more acting like a threat actor. In pen testing, you're using those tools and techniques, but when you perform pen test, you've got a limited number of hours to spend testing. So you don't really have time to try to go undetected. That may be in scope for some pen tests, but true red teaming is adversary emulation. So you're going in, you're performing a test, you're emulating a threat actor. So you're trying to go undetected. Pen testers are trying to find every vulnerability that can be exploited and exploit those. And red team operations or adversary emulation, they're trying to emulate a threat actor. They're trying to perform what would be lead up to a breach, how a threat actor would breach the company. And both of these are important. And I would say that the red teaming is more advanced. So this is something that you would transition into later in your career. But both of these types of assessments are important because with the pen test, you find all the vulnerabilities and try to exploit all those. And with red teaming, you try to do something that would be equivalent to like a breach. And so there's so many different areas of offensive security that we have to test every time there's new technology that comes out. When I started my journey as a pen tester in 2012, IoT was just starting to get started out. A few years later, then that was popular. And so there's new technologies that are coming out all the time, and these will need to be tested for security, because some of the medical devices like pacemakers and insulin pumps, when manufacturers make things, they used to not build security into it. And who would think that someone would try to hack an insulin pump or a pacemaker or medical devices, but people will do that for bad, to injure someone, people do things like that. So the self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles, those need to be tested. And as we add new technology, there are things that people will pen test that we don't even know about yet. Just like you see blockchain, the smart certificates, and the technology around NFTs, all that Web3 technology that people are starting to have to pen test. And there will be more technologies that come out new that we have to test. So it's a wide and growing field. And really, if you're trying to get into this field, one of the things I recommend is if you're in some area of IT, the areas that you understand, if you're a sysadmin, then maybe, network pen testing or infrastructure pen testing would be good. If you're a software developer, a QA analyst, then application security is definitely an area that will be easier for you to break in that side of offensive security. Because not only do you have to know how to be able to break in things, you got to understand the technology first. And then you have to understand how security of that technology works to be able to exploit that technology.
I agree with you. That it is so wide that it covers multiple aspects that people always have that graded area. Now, when someone wants to start off with this area or offensive security, to be precise, what are the things or what are the skill sets they need to make sure that they are starting right?
It's going to really depend on what area of offensive security you want to go into. Because like I mentioned before, if you have like an application background, whether you're a developer or QA analyst, then application security will be good for you to learn. But one of the things you got to look at is you've got to understand the technology. This is like if I wanted to write a book in French, I'm going to have to know French first before I can write the book. I just can't start writing the book and expect it to work. And a lot of times people are so anxious because, pen testing is a fun field. Hacking is fun. If you like CTS, if you like puzzles, different types of mental challenges, then you would enjoy pen testing and learning how to hack. But you've got to learn the fundamentals. I mean, this is the same thing if you're going to school for a computer science degree, why you have to learn some of these other technologies. So you have to understand the technology, understanding networking and operating systems are some of the basic fundamentals that you need to have starting out. And one of the things I recommend, if you're starting from zero and you're not going to college to get educated, then the content around the A+ certification, Network Plus, and Security Plus are good to know. And I'm not saying you have to get those certifications. Professor Messer has a website and a YouTube channel that you can go out to his site, and he's got all the free videos for A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. So you can learn that prerequisite knowledge before you dive into the pen testing piece. But you really have to understand that, because if you don't understand the technology, one of the things as you get into the field, like for me, if I haven't tested IoT, then I've done some web application, I've done network. So I've got some of the basics, and then you can take those basics and learn new things. But you have to have those basics starting out. Be patient and learn that. I know a lot of people want to jump into the hacking part, but it's only going to make it more difficult if you don't have the basic technology knowledge starting out.
Very valid point. And especially when you don't have any idea and you just want to jump into the bug bounty or say that, oh, I want to earn the money out of it. It is very cliche, because till the time you don't have your basics right, it is not easy to get into any field. Now, while I talk about that, are there specific skills or specific trainings they should go through? Or is there any book that they should go through, or any references that people can look at?
Yeah, there's a lot of books out there. One of the books that I used to use for my pen testing course was Georgia Weidman's book, Penetration Testing, A Hands-On Guide to Ethical Hacking. I believe that's the title. It's the blue cover book with a light bulb on it. That's a good one. It's came out in 2014, so it still covers like Windows XP. And a lot of people complain about, books like that because of the age. But if you learn how to hack Windows XP, then you're building the foundational skills. So pen testing and hacking, the exploitation piece is going to be the same. You're just going to have to learn the newer technologies. That's a good one to start with. I'm a big fan of Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. If you get on Try Hack Me, it's hands-on. It's very friendly towards new people. Someone they're just beginning and starting out, they kind of help build some of those foundational skills. So I think that's a really good resource to kind of get started on. Once you get going, you can learn through that. The bug bounty content on HackerOne and also Bug Crowd, they have some good content on, bug hunting, and they're trying to recruit people on their platform. So it's only to their advantage to try to educate people. So some of that content is good out there. Getting the bug bounty experience, while you kind of mentioned sometimes it's hard to get bugs and make money. Maybe you're finding duplicates. If you find duplicates, don't be disappointed. You're finding vulnerabilities, because in the real world, if you're performing a pen test, you're going to be able to detect those vulnerabilities. And in a pen test, you're not competing against others to find bugs. You're getting paid to do the pen test, regardless what you find.
Yeah. And while we read these books, what is your way around certifications? And what do you suggest some certifications which people can keep in their kitty?
Yeah, there's certifications are good. And a lot of times certifications are more helpful when you're getting started out. There's like the CEH and Pentest Plus, but those a lot of times don't lead to getting a job in the industry, because usually they're wanting something more hands-on. So like the EJPT cert from INE was formerly an eLearn security certification. That's one that I see people looking for. Some of the other certifications they provide, the Cyber Mentor, his certification is starting to gain some traction. His training is pretty inexpensive. And then of course, like the OSCP, any of the SAN certifications. SAN certification is usually out of reach for most people unless their employer pays for it. But the offensive security certs are really probably some of the most popular and most sought after by employers. So just about any job you see, job posting, they're looking for an OSCP. But one of the things too is, just because you have the certification isn't going to help you get the job. It may get you the interview. So if you're working on this certification, you forget what you learn, then the certification is going to be useless to you. So really, you can even get around having certifications. And the way to do that is networking. So learn the skill, practice on Hack the Box, try Hack Me, do like some video walkthroughs, write-ups on Medium, or start a GitHub with write-ups on vulnerable VMs to show how you've done things, do walkthroughs on YouTube and get those skills. But then network with people, go to like some of the OWASP groups, join the different OWASP groups. I know like in India, the null groups that are popular there. And then other areas of the world, you have the local DEF CON groups. Join those organizations, go to the B-Sides conferences, network with people. Because there was someone recently in the cybersecurity community that was a pool cleaner. He had some security certs. I think he got a CVE too, but from him networking with people, someone shared he was looking for a job and he got a job. So that networking piece is big. I mean, I've seen people that went to local meetups. I saw a recent college graduate. They did a talk on malware analysis, and there was a hiring manager from Citi in the audience, and they asked for his resume, and he got the job because he basically was doing what they would want to see in a technical interview, only taken a lot further. So the networking piece, I can't emphasize enough. I know you've seen that in your community and seen people, and I know how you've built your name. If you want to find another job, it's easy for you to find another job because you have a big network. People know who you are. So that's what the listeners and viewers need to keep in mind. The more people know of you, there's a lot of people that are really tinfoil hat and they want to stay anonymous, don't want people to know who they are. But when you're trying to break in the industry, if people don't know you, that's kind of difficult. So, reaching out, connecting with people on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I have a lot of people that I've mentored that are international, not only in my area, people all over. So just get out there in the different Discords. I know a lot of different meetup groups and different organizations have their own Discords and Slack channels. Get involved in the virtual conferences and in-person conferences. That's just a good way to make connections, because what the networking does is when you apply for a job, and here's a good example. I used to work for US Bank, And around the time I was applying for US Bank, I applied at Bank of America. With US Bank, I met someone at OWASP meeting, gave him my resume. He handed it to the hiring manager. So I got an interview and got offered a job with Bank of America. I uploaded my resume through their job system, job application system, uploaded that, had all the skills needed, had plenty of experience, had 5 years of consulting experience, and I didn't get called until a year later. That's because when we depend on applications to look for, keywords on our resumes, and we hope that the algorithms in our favor, you may be the most qualified person and not get the job because the way the system works. But if you know the hiring manager or someone who works in that company, they can get the resume to the person that needs to see it. Because even if your application gets in and HR looks at it, HR doesn't always understand all the different roles. There's thousands of roles in some organizations to fill, and HR people can't know every single one of those. And so they may be looking at the resume of the best qualified person, and they may not understand that. They may see, oh, they've got a master's degree, or they went to university, and base it on that, and not, some of the hands-on skills you got, or maybe some of the certifications. So the networking is very big. It's very important to do. Don't be shy. I mean, if you're kind of a shy person, then the virtual thing is really good. And when you're meeting people virtually, when you finally get to meet them in person, it's like you've known them for a while. So it's not as difficult to connect with people in person once you've met them online.
I'd agree with you more. And especially as you mentioned that I am well connected in the community. And especially if I talk about my journey started long back, but then there is something which changed within me, and my professional career is because of the communities. When I started going to the null meets or local OWASP meets, that's how I got connected to a lot of people, and my career shaped. And there's one point which you very well mentioned: if the hiring manager knows your skills, may have seen you at some meetups, they will themselves reach out to you. I have got my job, especially the current company that I work for, Seek. I got it from the community. I used to go to the conferences, and especially OWASP conferences, where they saw me, and suddenly I see a message saying that would you come and join us. So that was a pleasant surprise that I actually did not go out to look for a job, but then suddenly the thing started to come to me. So networking is one big skill which is relevant to get you the role, and then at the same time your skills would get you the job. So I agree with you on that.
And another comment I like to make too for people watching this is, one of the things you got to keep in mind is, okay, look at viral marketing, these videos that go viral, the people that see that, companies advertising products, like Coca-Cola has a lot of people that use their product because it's all over the place. It's on billboards, it's on television, it's on social media and all this. So people are advertising movies and products, and they're successful. If they didn't advertise those products, it'd be all word of mouth, and they wouldn't be as successful. So it's the same thing with us. We're promoting and advertising ourselves. So the more people know about who you are, just like you were mentioning, now you've got people reaching out to you. And that's one of the things that happens. I mean, there's been times I've looked for jobs that I just posted, I was looking for a job. And like you, I speak at a lot of conferences and do workshops and stuff. So people know of me, and it's easy to get a job. Now, when you're just getting started out, it's not that easy, but the longer you do it, the more effort you put into it, the better your results. I've seen people that haven't even been in the industry, that just broke in, that they were really connected on social media, going to the conferences and stuff, starting out doing this a lot in the beginning of their career. And they got in a lot easier than some of their counterparts that weren't doing the same thing.
Totally in line with you. But there is one thing I do want to say, that social media is not everything. You have to remember, when you are networking, that's one wonderful area that you can tap into. Like we say that. But if you don't work on your technical skills, you would not be able to survive in this field, or your skills of the area that you're working at. whether it's application security, whether it's project management and security, whether it's network security, anything that you're doing, you have to learn the new skills in that area. Social media or networking will get you to the doorstep, but with your skills, you have to get in.
That's very true. And what will happen there is if you really do the networking piece and overdo the social media, then you can into one of those situations where people apply for jobs and say they're overqualified. You're actually underqualified. You're going in, people think you're this and you're not. So you want to make sure that you're learning along the way. So that's a very good point. So it's putting the whole thing together. And another thing you mentioned, the technical skills, also communication skills. I had a former coworker that recently applied for a job, and they were very qualified for the job, but their communication skills weren't good and they did not get the job. So being able to write a proper email, being able to communicate well is very important too, that sometimes get overlooked. And sometimes, this person was highly technical and they worked in digital forensics and incident response. They could do the job, but their communication skills, prevented them from getting the job. So it's something to think about when you're communicating professionally. A lot of people are used to texting or, using WhatsApp or different messaging apps, and they abbreviate things or they don't do proper sentences, use punctuation. Don't let those bad habits affect, your professional communication, because if a hiring manager from a company emails you and you message them like you would on Messenger or text message people, you got to make sure they understand what you're saying and you show that you can communicate properly.
Totally agree. That communication is also one of the key areas which we have to look at, like soft skills, which we need to take a look at. Now, I also want to know, let's say, if I'm not from offensive security area or even from cybersecurity, and I want to get into this area, is there anything specific that I need to look at, or I need to change my mind, or it should be like the way any other cybersecurity person pivot to the offensive security area?
So if you're already working in cybersecurity, then you've already got like a lot of knowledge there already. And one of the things about coming in from other areas of cybersecurity is some people worry, if I switch jobs and I've lost this experience. No. To the offensive side, when we're writing pen test reports, then we need to write remediation, understand how security works. Understanding how security works will make you a better pen tester because you understand the security of it. You just have to learn how to breach or hack into that system. So that's already going to help. So that's one of the things when I moved into the offensive security side, I'd been a sysadmin. I had worked in security, doing network security for about a year and a half. Most of my experience from like 2005 to 2012 was spent in application security, and all that stuff I took over to the offensive side because people look at those other security skills. If you're just one dimensional and only offensive security and don't have that experience, then sometimes it's up to you to work harder to prove and learn those other skills. So if you're going over from other areas of IT or other areas of security, then that's still experience on your resume, and that still counts towards the overall big picture.
Right. And at the same time, let's say I am into this area now. Now I want to go ahead and see the career progression. So how exactly the career progression looks like what are the leadership roles or individual contributor roles which are there in this particular area?
Yeah, like you just mentioned, the individual contributors. So when people are starting out, say you're starting out, you've got junior pen testers, and then of course you're going to have like the senior pen testers, and then sometimes the first step in leadership, and this is a role where you're working in the role, you're just kind of guiding and leading others, is like team leads. So the first step would be a team lead, and then after that you have manager roles, and then you can move up to directors. Offensive security has become such a big thing now, and so important that there are people that are directors that are managing pen test teams. And the thing about it is, if you say I don't want to be a manager, there's a lot of areas and ways to grow in offensive security. When people start out, sometimes people are generalists, so they're basically not specializing in anything. That's kind of the way I started out. I was doing network pen test, some web app pen testing, and I started doing more on the web app pen testing side. I learned Wi-Fi pen testing, and so I expanded my capabilities. But another thing is too, when you want to advance, you really want to take it to that next level, then you really want to focus on specialization. And so you may want to try everything until you get a good idea and broad-based experience before you decide on what to specialize in. And some of those different skills will help you towards that specialization, because there's so much to learn and you can't be an expert on all of it. So there's certain areas you're going to be stronger at if you're doing different areas. But if you see the people that really excel and do really well, they find an area and they focus on. Just like, for instance, Harmjoy, Will Schroeder from Spectrops, he focuses on red team stuff. He does a lot of Active Directory hacking and stuff like that. But then you go over to the web app side and you take someone like Jason Haddix or Stoke, and some of these people, Insider PhD, they're really good at the web hacking stuff. And that's because when you kind of narrow your focus to one specialization, you can learn so much and it's easier to retain, and you get more experience in that area. So you're able to get better at that area. That's just like someone that's a professor. You're not going to be a physics professor, a biology professor, a chemistry professor, because it's going to be hard to really understand all those. You take people that get PhDs in studies, it's usually something more specialized instead of just some, broad thing to be really an expert, understand that field.
Right. Totally agree with you that you need some specialization for certain fields. Now, before we part, can you please recommend some of the newsletters, books, or talks which you really enjoy and feel people should look at and people should know about them?
Yes, a couple of things I'd like to mention is, if you haven't, Jason Blanchard from Black Hills Information Security Group, he does a stream on job hunting, a live stream on Twitch, and he goes through, and I guess he calls it hacker job hunting or something like that. And this is a very good stream he does, because he'll go through showing how he would look for a job, how to alter your resume to fit the job description. So you see a job description, and that's one of the things people have gotten away from. Because I remember when I was kind of starting my career, when I'd work with recruiters, they would ask me to tailor my resume towards this job. And so he shows how to do that, as well as how to get information, how to connect with people there, try to build a rapport and stuff. So it's really good information there. And as far as like another resource I'd like to share is Rana Khalil's YouTube channel. If you're wanting to get into web app pen testing, she does like a whole video series on the Portswigger Web Application Security Academy. And so she's got videos on how to do those different tasks within that. So you've got Portswigger's Web Security Academy to do your labs in, but you've got Rana's videos to learn from. And she even goes in beyond, above and beyond. They're trying to help you and train you to use Burp Suite, but Rana's showing you how to use Python to write scripts to do the same type of thing. So those are two resources that I think are really, really great resources. And as far as people looking for training, Black Hills Information Security Group, they have a lot of pay what you can training. So maybe not everyone can afford hundreds of dollars for training, but they have opportunities where they'll let you pay what you can. And they have some stuff that's more entry-level type roles, even like some SOC analyst training and stuff that not everyone has been offering, but a lot of times people get into security through SOC analyst roles.
There is one thing I do want to know while we talk about SOC analyst. Are these two roles related by any chance?
It's one of the things you can do there is if you're moving in, want to go into offensive security, you can get to see what malicious traffic looks like. That's kind of one of the things. It's interesting because we have, I don't know if you know of TinkerSec that's on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, TinkerSec, he started out as a SOC analyst.
Oh, okay. So
it's on you. So you're kind of seeing what the attackers are doing through working in the SOC. So it's a good way it's a good role. Like I said before, really any area of security is a good way to get into cybersecurity. And as you're in a SOC role, that may not be the way you wanted to start out, but if you can land a SOC job, then you could be learning pen testing while you're in there, and then just kind of look at the traffic you're seeing and your experiences as a SOC analyst and just kind of see how it could help train you to be a better pen tester.
Very valid. Thank you so much. It's so wonderful to know that, because I have so many friends who are part of SOC, Security Operations Center. I'm sure they'll be very happy to know about it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And just learning the offensive security side of things will make them a better SOC analyst too.
Right. Thank you so much, Philip, for sharing all the wonderful information. And I am sure a lot of people would benefit out of it. And when I share the video, I'll share the links as well. Whatever links you've mentioned, I'll add them to the YouTube channel so that they can go through. And yes, everyone, do check out his book. It is amazing. You did not mention about it. Let's talk about the book as well and what it covers.
Yeah, the book is kind of, it's interesting where the book came from, because I started teaching at Dallas College in January of 2018. And I gave a lecture at the beginning of each semester on becoming a pen tester and about pen testing. And some of the other professors in the school would ask me to come over and teach their students, their cybersecurity students, come in and do a lecture. And so by November of 2018, I gave a conference talk used that lecture and gave it as a conference talk at B-Sides DFW, our local Dallas-Fort Worth B-Sides conference. And then from there on, I gave that talk at several conferences. And then I was in the Tribe of Hackers Red Team book, and Wiley Publishing asked me if I was interested in writing a book. And so I had the idea of turning my talk into a book, because a lot of the other books out there, there's a lot of great pen testing books that teach you the skills, but no one was really teaching you what do you need to know to start out. You know, like we mentioned earlier, that having the technology skills and the security skills, there wasn't anything telling you that. And the book shares that information, as well as different certifications that are helpful, ways to get experience. So it's really a book geared towards trying to help people get started in pen testing. But one of the things too, to let people know, it doesn't teach you pen testing. It shares resources with you that are valuable at becoming a pen tester and things you need to know before you start that journey. So got a lot of good feedback from it. A lot of people have said it was helpful helping them start their journey, as well as I've talked to some people that have been in for a while, but they learned things from the book.
Thank you so much, Philip. It is amazing, and your book is totally amazing. I love that. And I am sure whenever somebody is going to read it, it is going to give them a huge amount of insights. And I love your talk because you covered a lot of aspects about the whole industry, and specifically concentrating about pen testing. And it is useful for even the people who are getting started in cybersecurity. So thank you so much, Philippe, for joining me. It was wonderful to have conversation with you.
Thanks, and it was an honor to join you, Vandana.
Thank you.